Guys, Michael Edward, True Trading Group. Really great day today. I took things slow today because I had two consecutive red days in a row. I was a little frustrated with some trades that weren't working out in my favor, so I took things slow today. Booked a green day, not a big green day, but nonetheless a green day. And sometimes it helps to just see that green on your screen to give you that warm and fuzzy feeling. So. But some really great trades today that I want to go over a couple of patterns because two patterns in particular that are my absolute favorite patterns both happened absolutely perfectly today and gave us really high profitable trades with very low risk, and I want to talk about two of them. The first one was an OMNT, and it's the trade that I preach about the most, especially to traders that are trying to work on low risk, high reward setups, which everybody should always be looking for those setups. And this is a setup that I want people to look for the most because it's a very high success rate, very low risk, and high potential reward. In this OMNT, here's the intraday chart, 3-minute candle. It's when the initial morning high is broken to the upside and then becomes support. It's one of my favorite patterns that I teach all of our members to look for because it's very low risk and has very high potential reward. And let me walk you through it. Here's the opening bell, and you see OMNT shoots higher, puts in this initial morning high right here. This is the initial morning high, then OMNT pulls in. Then you see a break to make a new high on the day on increased volume. Remember, the increase in volume on this is key to tell you that new high, that breakout is real. So you need that increase in volume. And OMNT gave it to us. Then you see the stock pull back in. But it pulls back in and it holds a very important area. You see the stock pull back in, but it holds support at the previous morning high. Okay, you can see now that this is an area of support for the stock. That same area happens to be the previous morning high. This is what we look for. Then you see also a descending trend line as the stock makes lower high, holding that support area. So let me go through this again. Initial morning high, breakout on an increase in volume, then you see the stock pull in, hold support, makes a lower high, pulls in, holds support. That's how you get this descending triangle pattern that you see right here. Then the stock breaks out of that downtrend resistance line and you get an extension move. Okay? This is a very low risk, high reward setup. I'm going to pan this over so you can see it more closely. Okay? Because you can enter this position anywhere in here as close to this support line as you can. So if you entered, let's say, at around 410, okay, and this line is at $4, you're risking 10 cents on the trade. Okay, so a very small amount. And then as the stock breaks out of this downtrend resistance line, you can add to your position looking for a move to retest this high. Okay, usually it'll go back to retest this high of this consolidation and the high of the day. All right, that's going to be your first area of resistance once this trade triggers. So let me zoom back out so you can see the whole trade. Okay, I always suggest selling some of your position at the high of the day. Okay, because in case the stock can't make a new high and it doesn't have enough momentum behind it, it can come up here and then roll back over. So I always suggest selling some of your position right at this high, but still hold on to some in case you get that follow through move. This OMNT gave you that follow through move all the way to $5, but the trade wasn't over yet. Look at where the stock ended up pulling back in and holding. Right here. Also happens to be the previous morning high. So once you have a high is broken to the upside, it tends to hold as support later in the day. It happened here in the morning with the initial morning high, then the break, holding as support, the stock continues higher. Now this is now your new high of the day. Stock breaks that high, makes a new high of the day, pulls back in, and now you see it holds support again. Stock makes a new high and continues to push higher all the way up to $6. Monster trade in here today. Okay, I did not catch this second part of the trade, but some people did. A couple guys pulled out 24%. I mean, so some really, really great trades in this OMNT today. And it's really the pattern that I want to focus on because it's a very high percentage pattern, very low risk, but very potential high reward. Because you can see if you enter in here, you're only risking this support line. If this support line breaks, you exit the trade. So you can see you're risking a very small amount by entering the stock, entering the trade right in here, potentially catching this move and then this move, this continuation move. So usually, like I say, you'll get that retest of the high day and the stock has real momentum behind it. It'll continue higher and you can get a really, really high reward for the risk that you're putting on the trade. I always say it should be your risk reward ratio should be a minimum 2 to 1, preferably 3 to 1. So if you're risking 5%, you should at least be making 10 to 15% on the trade. And this setup will give you even greater, a 4, maybe even a 5 to 1 on that risk reward ratio. And that's why I love this pattern so much. Okay, and OMNT gave it to us perfectly today. So please study this pattern and memorize it because it'll make you a lot of money as you grow as a trader. Next, SOUPQ, sub penny stock that was just an absolute monster today. I don't really trade the sub pennies, so I did not trade this stock, but a lot of our members did, and it's a perfect example of a bull flag breakout. Okay, you can see the stock just took off like a bat out of hell right off the open, super heavy volume, and then it started to consolidate and flag. I'll draw it out for you. Here's your flag pattern. Okay, there it is. But what I want you to take notice of most is the volume on this pattern. Bull flags, perfect bull flags, will have a very heavy volume on the way up, creating the flagpole, slightly lighter volume on the consolidation as the flag is formed, and then heavy volume again on the breakout. SOUPQ had very heavy volume right off the opening bell to create the flagpole. Then you see a decrease in volume during the consolidation, and then another monster rocket volume as the stock broke out and made a new high day. This volume gives you your confirmation that the stock is continuing higher. So before this move happens, when the stock's right here, and you see that volume bar, that's your confirmation that the stock's going higher. Okay, that's your confirmation that the breakout is real. And then you get this huge follow-through move. Okay, perfect example of a bull flag breakout. Heavy volume on the way up to create the flag pole, lower volume during the consolidation, and heavy volume on the breakout, and the stock continues and gives you that extension move. Picture perfect bull flag pattern. Okay, another bull flag setup today that didn't give you quite the same follow-through, but the pattern was there and it gave you a profitable trade, and I made this trade in SPPI today. Okay, now with this is a good example of, I always stress to people, try to find chart patterns in various time frames. Don't just look at a 3-minute chart. Don't just look at a 5-minute chart. Look at multiple time frames to try to identify a chart setup. Okay, now I'm going to draw a vertical line on this chart and show you, because this is prior to me purchasing SPPI. It's not clear that there's a chart pattern here. It's a little choppy. It's a little spread out. It's not as easy to see. But let me break it out to a 15-minute time frame, and it becomes a little bit easier to see another bull flag setup. Okay, here's your flagpole, heavy volume, slightly lower volume on the consolidation, and then here's your breakout. Now, we didn't get that huge increase in volume on the breakout like we did with SOUPQ, and that's why the stock didn't really run to $14, $15. If these volume bars were up here, you would have got that continuation move. You still had a profitable move, okay? And I ended up buying this stock. I'll go back. I ended up buying this stock right here as it broke out of this pattern, okay? Looking for a move to 14, 1450 based on my Fibonacci projections, but it didn't quite get there because the volume didn't come in. Yes, it had a slight increase in volume, but it didn't have that real strong volume surge that you see with this volume breakout. See the difference between this volume and this volume? Okay, that's why the stock slowly churned higher and didn't give you that big extension push. Nonetheless, I ended up selling the position before the close up in here to take, a small profit, but still nonetheless a profit, guys. Okay, but it's the setup and it's the chart pattern that I want to focus on mostly here, because the bull flag, okay, and then that initial high break and consolidation of a descending triangle above that morning high are very high percentage patterns that carry low risk and potentially very high reward that I want you guys to look for on a daily basis and act on these and take these trades. Okay, they're not going to work every time. There's going to be times where the stock's going to push out of this and then roll over and fail. But more often than not, you get this type of a trade. And if you stick to your stop loss, you manage your downside, and then you go after it when you're right, this is how you become a very profitable trader, because you get these monster moves sometimes. Okay, sometimes you don't get the monster move like an SPII, but you still make a profitable trade. That's what it's all about, guys. So follow these patterns, look for them, study them, so that when they start to develop, you see them, you recognize them, and you can jump all over them. And that's what today really was all about. So great job today trading. A green day booked in the books. And we'll be right back here tomorrow going after some more setups like this and trying to identify some profitable trade opportunities. So great job today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.